Turkey's most sensitive and difficult internal struggle, the Kurdish question, was next on Erdogan's agenda. In the past 3 decades, more than 30,000 people have died in the conflict between Kurds and Turkish security forces.
The claims of the Kurds have always been defined as separatism from the state side. So many people in society still see the issue in those terms. So it is very difficult for an elected government in Turkey to make a reform on the Kurdish issue, but still to get the majority of the Turkish population.
For the first time, Erdogan, as prime minister, acknowledged the issue and promised to tackle it with so-called Kurdish initiatives. But this wasn't popular with Turkish nationalists.
Polls show that the lowest point that Erdogan's party was after they tried this Kurdish initiative. So they lost many votes on the Turkish majority side.
Erdogan realized his bold Kurdish initiative would be too costly, so it was halted.
Erdoğan or AKP
Erdogan and the AKP party have not taken concrete steps to further democracy in Turkey. The question of political prisoners still remains, so does Kurdish rights, freedom of religions and the rights of non-Muslims. That's why we believe that until these issues are addressed, democracy in Turkey will not progress.
Erdogan has not managed to solve Turkey's internal problems. But what is his record abroad?
With a personality like his, he sometimes speaks romantically rather than diplomatically, and so he could damage relations between two countries.
Many buses that came from the West Bank to Jerusalem were full of dynamite.
2 years ago in Davos, Erdogan walked out an Israeli president, Shimon Peres.
Perez bir kabile reisiyle konuşmuyor veya Gazze'nin bir lideriyle konuşmuyor. Yani Türkiye Cumhuriyeti'nin başbakanına nasıl hitap edileceğini öğrenmesi lazım.
Because President Perez was speaking to the Prime Minister of Turkey. I am not just some leader of some group or tribe, so President also should have addressed me accordingly.
Relations between the two longtime allies fractured. And a month later, after the Israeli raid on a Turkish aid flotilla sailing to Gaza, tensions increased even further.
And the relation between the Israel and Turkey have broken, that's true. Maybe for the region it is not good, but the relation between the Turkey and other countries is very important now and very increased. There is a very good support for the Turkey and for the Prime Minister of Erdoğan.
Some believe Turkey used the incident for its own advantage to make friends in the Middle East. Ilan Mizrahi is the former deputy chief of the Israeli security agency, Mossad.
The fact that Turkey is coming closer to what we defined as our enemies today, Iran, Syria, Hezbollah and Hamas, and at the same time broadening the distance between Tel Aviv and Ankara. And the question is, quo vadis Ankara when talking about Israel? Some people would say in Israel that maybe anti-Israeli policy serves Middle Eastern policy of Turkey.
In the past 2 years, Erdogan has been pursuing a policy of zero problem with the neighbors. Opponents accuse him of trying to regain Ottoman influence in the region.
So the Neo-Ottoman reference is just a realization that Turkey is a part of the whole Middle East and the Balkans and the Caucasus with all these cultural and historical ties. It's not an empire building, but it's a sense of responsibility.
Osmanli, the Ottoman era, that time when we were quite young, is a kind of golden age of Turkish society. We were imagining that one day, like European countries, we will be able to go to our neighboring countries, to Syria, Iraq, or especially Saudi Arabia, without having visa.
Turkey has introduced free trade zones with its neighbors and removed visa requirements for many surrounding countries like Jordan, Syria, and Lebanon.
When Turkey opened up embassies in 17 new countries in Africa, the reason is that Turkish businessmen invest in those African countries. When they invest in these countries, they need the support of Turkish diplomats, or like an embassy there or a consulate, and so then the Turkish foreign ministry opens a consulate in Nairobi, and then the Turkish airlines start to fly there from Istanbul. So these things, this is just a pattern which just began, and when you go to the Istanbul airport, you see planes flying to cities that sometimes you never heard before.
Hosting Muslim leaders in its old Ottoman palaces, Turkey has managed to revitalize its relations in the Middle East, the very region to which Iran has been trying to export its Islamic revolution for the past 3 decades.
قوی شدن آقای اردوغان در منطقه و
Erdogan certainly has overridden Iranian influence in the region, and he's increasingly popular in Palestine, in Lebanon and Iraq. For many in Iran, this has not been pleasant, and some Iranians see him as a threat.
As far as I see nowadays, he became, how can I say, celebrity, not in Turkey, even in Middle East countries. Whenever I go to Iraq, Syria, or Jordan, I can see he's the celebrity in Middle East countries also.
But it has not ignored its Western allies. It's trying to project itself as a leader of the Muslim world, perfectly positioned to mediate between West and East. In recent months, Turkey, like the United States, has not shied away from calling on former Egyptian President Hosni Mubarak to listen to the protesters who demanded he quit. And Erdogan's success in promoting democratic reforms and boosting the economy has made him a model for some Islamic groups in the region.
They admire Turkey as modern, democratic and secular country. Nothing to do, how can I say, with nationalist sense, even the religious sense. They admire the Turkish society as a modern Turkey, that's it.
The man who was once in prison for his opinions and thought to be at the end of his political career is now probably the most influential Muslim leader in the East and the West. Some are still suspicious of his power and intentions, but what is not in question is that his star is on the rise.
He is very smart, and I think so far he's been very successful. He was elected twice with an overwhelming majority, and in the next election, the expectations are that he will be elected for the 3rd time.
He's decisive, brave and religious, but at the same time intimidating, totalitarian, revengeful and vindictive, and someone who doesn't respect the rule of law.
Turkey has changed a lot, and the world has changed. So in the past, the military just could launch a military coup. There was just one TV or radio station. They would take that and put their slogans, and that would be it. Now today's Turkey is very diverse. You have more than 500 TV channels. You have unlimited access to the outside world, the internet, and like everything, and lots of economic ties. So today, the generals know that if they ever want to launch a coup, the economy will fail next day, and they'll be responsible for it.